I'll give you guys a brief statement and then let you guys go to work. Yeah, just 9 practices in, so far so good. Happy with the progress, happy with where we're headed. Still don't have all of the answers that you guys want to hear about, but I think we're making progress, and so excited with where we're at. Just got to keep going and getting better. So, questions?
Third row on the right, David.
Like DJ Hicks was here earlier and talking about how it was difficult to kind of wait for his turn with those guys in front of him, but it made him a better player. In today's world of college athletics, just how difficult is it to get guys to buy into waiting for the process to play out?
Yeah, it's funny. I've had this conversation quite a bit. Like, if you look at the teams that are successful, it's a lot more of that than anybody writes about. If you look at the teams that are, trying to patchwork things together or looking for quick fixes, they can do enough to get better, but they don't ever really get over the hump until they have a program and a culture where kids are in there working, grinding, getting better all the time. And so I think it's a testament to where we had gotten the D-line culture too. Obviously, Elijah Robinson, Terry Price played a big role in that when they were here. Sean Spencer, Tony Girardetti are carrying that on. But it just became a place where, if you're a really talented defensive lineman, you kind of come here, you go to work, you get to play with some really good players, and you're going to get your opportunities to get where you want to go.
Front left, Tony. Then
Speaking of DJ, he had talked about his mentality this offseason, knowing that this is probably his biggest, chance he's had to kind of make an impact. What have you seen from him this spring, this offseason, that kind of may have stood out so far?
Yeah, I just think there's a level of maturity that happens over time, and he's not feeling his way through things anymore. He knows what it means to be a college football player. He knows, he got enough of a taste of it for sure last year to kind of know where his strengths are and obviously what he's capable of, but also maybe some of the areas where he can improve and get better to be the dominant player that he wants to be all the time. And so I think when all of those things happen, when all of those things happen, I think all of a sudden, kids start to get a little bit of intentionalism about how they go about things, and it makes it a little bit easier for them to kind of target the areas where they have to improve and get better.
second row on the left.
$1,000, that was my wife, by the way.
Hey, Coach, just a quick injury update. How healthy are you through this point in the spring with guys other than maybe you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, I don't know how to define that. I mean, I'm happy with where we're at. We're still rolling 3 deep in groups. We're still able to get really good quality work and reps in. And so, obviously we've got some guys that are nicked up, but so far so good.
And DJ said the motto of the defensive line is CBO, which he described as choke a woman out. Just curious what the origin of that was and kind of clarify what that's conveying.
Yeah, it's conveying something that shouldn't be conveyed, so we'll get that handled and addressed. That's absolutely ridiculous that was stated.
Front right, Owen.
Yeah, Mike, you're talking about DJ, but for the entire defensive front, you guys obviously have some really good players to replace. So what have you seen that gives you encouragement or optimism that you're going to be able to sufficiently replace those guys?
That we have to. That we absolutely have to, because that's what college football is about. Again, I think we're excited with the guys that we have in the program that will take the next step. I think we've talked about DJ, Cassius Howell. I think everybody forgets about Al Regis. Al Regis was a very productive member of our front last year. Rylan Kennedy, certainly a kid who's had a lot of success, and we anticipate taking the next step forward. And so I think it starts there, and that right there puts together a group that can compete in this conference pretty consistently and at a pretty high level. Then you have to go out and you've got to fill depth, and we were able to fill enough depth in there of guys who've played a lot of football. Tyler Onyedem has played a lot of football. TJ Searcy has played a lot of football. Dayon Hayes has played a lot of football. And then you add a little bit of quality in youth, and Sam Impemba comes from outside. Kendall Jackson and Solomon Williams have to develop. Marco Jones and the 3D tackles that we bring in, and you certainly have plenty of SEC bodies, and so we got to find a way to make them successful.
How confident are you that they're making that next step? The guys you're talking
We won't know until we know. It's hard to Yeah, I'm confident, but it's middle of spring, so I'm confident that we're making the next step. I'm confident that we'll get there, but I don't know that in the middle of spring I'm making those statements right now.
Front left, Mark.
He said that we probably don't have the answers, or you don't have the answers we're looking for, but I'll be a dunderhead.
So you're going to
to
follow up OB.
Oh, yeah,
You're going to follow up
absolutely.
OB and ask
You-
anyway.
You knew it was coming. But specifically with the secondary, have you liked the progress, or has there been progress made with, from what you've seen in the first couple of weeks of camp?
Yeah, again, I'm just trying to figure out how to word this the right way. Obviously, there's progress. There's always progress. We're moving in the right direction. Does that mean that when the lights come on in the big moments, in the big games, we're going to do it to the level that it needs to be done? I don't know. We'll find out. But I'm happy with how we're working. I'm happy with where we're going. I'm happy with the development and the improvement. There's 5 months that we have to get this thing to the level that it needs to be to go out there and do what we need to do in the fall. And so, we just got to keep going.
Front right, Carter. Alex.
Mike, with the portal opening next week and the latest with the House settlement, just how do you process all that? And are you guys planning to cut to 105, or are y'all kind of waiting to see what happens?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we have no idea, right? And it's just relatively crazy considering we're knee deep into preparations for the season, and we don't even really know what the roster rules are for the season that we're about to play. But the people behind the scenes are doing what they can do to get those answers as quick and as fast as they can. And I think to some degree, you're making sure that you have plans and options to move in whatever direction you're going to need to move. But I think to some degree you can also make yourself dizzy thinking about it, because you can think it's going to go this way, and then all of a sudden it shifts. And then and I've had times where between a staff meeting at 7 a.m. in the morning where I thought something, and then by noon I had a phone call, it was something completely. Yeah, it's moving and shifting so quick. It's just hard to pin down exactly what. I do think roster-wise, though, I think at the very earliest, the roster cuts won't have to happen until the end of fall camp. And so I think from that standpoint, we've gotten a little bit of clarity, but that's assuming the settlement actually goes through and is approved by the judge. So,
Second row on the left, Alex.
So Colorado and Syracuse tried to do a joint scrimmage. Joey McGuire at Texas Tech has suggested maybe doing a joint practice with regional schools like A&M. Is that something that you might be interested in the future, if that is a thing that could come about here in college football?
I think it's extremely challenging in college football to do things like that. I think, one, that it's wild that nobody's discussing is class. I'm not exactly sure how you can do a joint practice for a week while your kids are in class. I'd have a heck of a time trying to convince my kids to go to Lubbock or Waco or anywhere during spring break. So I don't know how fired up they would be about any of those opportunities, and that's no disrespect to those cities. But so that part of it is a challenge. I think in college, so many programs have different philosophies of what practice looks like. How you protect players, how you take care of players, how you actually go about practicing. You'd want to make sure and try to identify that you found somebody who philosophically was on the same page as you. Then if you end it all with a game, then to me that pulls away a little bit from a development standpoint what you're trying to get done in the spring, because the second we have to play a game, then obviously we have to win, or you guys are all mad at me. So that means you got a game plan, and you got to and so you're out of the mode of fundamental development, fundamental improvement, because you immediately have to shift gears into game planning and that part of it, And so I think it's in theory something that people are conversing on, and that's great. I just think the reality of it is maybe not quite as simple as it's being led to believe by the media.
Coach back behind the lights, the middle, Nicole.
Coach, with a week and a half until the spring game, just any sense of urgency that you want to see from your guys as spring ball wraps up?
Yeah, I think the urgency is every day. I think we talk about urgency every day, the entire offseason. I think what you talk about right now is finishing. You know, it's obviously that's been a huge emphasis point for us this offseason, given how last year ended, right, is our ability to finish. And so we've tried to build that into everything, you know, finishing this last 4-week segment, finishing the last part of a workout, finishing the last part of practice. Like, it's been an enormous emphasis in what we're trying to do to get ourselves in the position we were in last year and then finish it the right way this year. And so that's kind of where we're at. You know, we're on the back part of spring now with about a week and a half left, like you said, and it's not necessarily turn up the urgency, it's finish it the way that we started it. I thought we started with a really good pace and a really good understanding of what we were trying to get accomplished. It's not letting it slack or get away from that down the stretch here and making sure it finishes with the same sense of urgency.
All right, one
Go
last
ahead.
one, Alex.
Okay, follow up to my previous question. Do you like the current spring practice format, and do you sense that it might be changing? If it does, is there a style that you would like to see it change, or do you like the current format?
Yeah, I haven't gotten a sense that it's changing. I have not heard anything from any powers to be that actually make decisions on college athletics that it's moving in any other direction. So from that perspective, you know, I don't know. I just think, you know, we're able to really develop in spring ball. I'm sure for the kids at times it gets monotonous. You know, there's no doubt about that. If there's a way to spruce it up, that'd be great. I don't know that exists. And so someone can propose some models that I think make sense. Obviously, we'll entertain whatever we think is best, but yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
All right, Cease, you'll be the last one.
If you're the new basketball coach, and did he ask you for any tips about being a first-year coach here? And if not, would you have any advice for him?
I did meet him. Seems like a great guy. Got a chance to meet him. Got a chance to meet his mom and dad, who seemed like great people. Met a couple of the coaches who were here already, but I didn't cross paths with when they were here. Seemed like a great staff. You know, I will certainly be here, be a resource for him in any way that he requires it and he needs it. I don't think I have any blanket statements other than it's a really cool place. It's a really special place to be. And I think we have a really, really good culture in this athletic department right now. And a lot of coaches get along and support each other really well. And we're here however we can help and support you through the transition. And I only offered to him, like, I have a little feeling of what it's like being in his shoes when you get dropped in the middle of the transfer portal and what all that feels like. But I don't know that helps in any way, shape, or form.
All right, Coach. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks, guys.